A long time ago, in a village nestled between mountains and the sea, there lived a boy named Shiro. He was an imaginative boy who loved to draw. Every day after school, he would pull out his sketchbook and draw whatever caught his fancy: flowers, trees, fish, anything at all. But most of all, he loved drawing cats. Fluffy cats, skinny cats, fat cats, even grumpy cats, any kind of cat you could think of. He drew them all. One day, while walking home from school, Shiro came across a little girl sitting by the side of the road. She had a shaved head and wore a white cotton dress that flowed in the wind. A red silk bow was tied around her neck like a necklace. She looked like an exotic bird about to take flight. And when she turned her head, Shiro noticed one of her ears was decorated with an intricate pattern of swirling lines. "Excuse me," said Shiro timidly. "Are you lost?" The girl shook her head and gave him a small smile, revealing two cute little dimples. "I'm waiting for someone," she replied. Shiro hesitated for a moment, not knowing what to say next. Then he decided to be brave and asked, "Can I draw you?" The girl's eyes widened and she exclaimed, "Really? You can draw anything?" "Well," Shiro said with a slight blush, "I mostly draw cats, but I can try." The girl giggled and nodded. "I'd like that very much." So Shiro sat down on the ground and began to sketch the girl. He drew her flowing hair, her delicate hands, and the elegant curve of her neck. But when he turned to draw her face, he noticed her eyes were closed. As he gently traced the outline of her face, he could have sworn he heard a faint meow. When he opened his eyes, the girl was gone. Startled, Shiro jumped up and looked around, but he couldn't see her anywhere. Was it all just a dream? He rubbed his eyes and continued on his way home. All he could think about was the strange girl with the cat-like ears and the mysterious glow around her. What was she doing in the middle of the road? Where did she go? And why did he feel like he knew her from another world? That night, Shiro couldn't sleep. The more he thought about the girl, the more his curiosity grew. Finally, he got out of bed and grabbed his sketchbook and his watercolors. Then he put on his kimono and quietly opened the window. Looking down, he saw the soft moonlight illuminating the path leading to the mountains. It was like a river of silver winding through the darkness. He didn't know why, but Shiro felt compelled to follow this path. So he slipped on his sandals and quietly made his way downstairs. Outside, the night was filled with the chirping of crickets and the distant hoot of an owl. The air was cool and refreshing on his skin, and the sound of the wind in the grass was like a lullaby. As he walked, he continued to sketch the path, the trees and the bushes, and every once in a while, he would swear he heard a faint meow. Suddenly, he came across a small clearing. In the middle of the clearing stood a stone lantern with a flickering flame inside. And sitting beside the lantern was the girl from earlier, just like he remembered. Her white dress shimmered in the moonlight, and her black hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall. She turned her head and smiled at Shiro. "You came," she said softly. Shiro could only nod because he was too surprised to speak. "I knew you would," she added with a playful smile. "I knew you would come and draw me." For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then Shiro finally found his voice. "How did you know I'd be here?" he asked. The girl shrugged her shoulders. "I don't know. I just had a feeling," she replied. Taking a deep breath, Shiro sat down and began to draw the girl and the lantern. He captured the delicate details of her face, the soft glow of her skin, the intricate patterns on her dress, and the gentle curve of her neck. As he worked, the girl remained perfectly still, like a statue brought to life by the moonlight. After a while, Shiro looked up from his sketchbook and noticed the girl was watching him intently. "What?" he asked. "What's wrong?" The girl shook her head. "It's nothing," she said softly. "It's just that no one has ever drawn me before." Shiro was taken aback by her words. He didn't know what to say, so he simply smiled and went back to his drawing. For hours, Shiro continued to draw the girl, completely immersed in his work. He didn't hear the rustling of leaves or the chirping of crickets. He didn't feel the cool night air on his skin or the soft moonlight on his face. He was in a world of his own, a world where only his pencil and paper existed. When he finally looked up, the sky was beginning to turn gray, and the first rays of sunlight were peeking over the mountain tops. The girl was still sitting in the same position, just like before. "Thank you for drawing me," she said softly. "I'll treasure these drawings forever." Shiro looked at his sketchbook and saw that he had drawn over 100 pictures of the girl. Each one was different, yet each one was beautiful. He felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that he had never felt before. But he also felt a pang of sadness, knowing that he might never see the girl again. As the sun began to rise higher in the sky, the girl slowly began to fade away, just like mist on a cold morning. "Wait," Shiro cried out, but his voice was lost in the wind. Shiro woke up with a start. He was in his bed and sunlight was streaming through his window. Had it all been a dream? He looked down at his hands and saw that they were stained with blue and green paint. And then he looked at his sketchbook and saw the hundreds of drawings of the mysterious girl. From that day on, Shiro continued to draw the girl whenever he had free time. He drew her in his sketchbook, on scraps of paper, even on the walls of his house. His parents and friends thought he was strange, but Shiro didn't care. He knew that one day he would find the girl and give her the drawings. Years passed and Shiro grew older, but he never forgot about the girl or the path in the mountains. Every night he dreamed of the girl and the stone lantern, and he dreamed of the day when he would see her again. One day when Shiro was visiting his grandmother in the mountains, he heard an old folk tale that brought back memories of the girl from his dreams. The story was about a princess who lived in a faraway kingdom. She had shaved her head and escaped from her palace to live in the mountains. She wanted to be free from the rules and expectations of her royal life and live a simple life as a commoner. The princess wandered through the mountains until she came across a small village. She visited a local temple and asked if she could stay there and help out. The temple's elderly priestess took her in and taught her how to cook, clean, and take care of the temple grounds. As the years passed, the princess became known throughout the village for her kindness and generosity. She helped everyone in need and never asked for anything in return. One day, a young artist named Shiro came to the temple to pay his respects. He was immediately drawn to the princess's gentle smile and graceful movements. He asked if he could draw her, and she agreed. As Shiro sketched the princess, he felt a sense of familiarity wash over him. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he felt like he had known her for a lifetime. When he finished the drawing, the princess looked at it and gasped. "It's perfect," she whispered. "It's exactly what I look like." Shiro blushed and thanked her. They spent the afternoon talking and laughing together, and Shiro learned that the princess had a love for nature and a passion for helping others. He also learned that she had a pair of cat-like ears that she kept hidden under her white cotton dress. As the sun began to set, Shiro knew it was time to go. He promised to return soon, and with that, he took his leave. Over the next few months, Shiro visited the princess often. They would spend hours talking, exploring the nearby villages and enjoying the beauty of the mountains. Shiro would bring his sketchbook with him and draw the princess whenever he had free time. He was completely enamored with her grace, kindness, and gentle spirit. Then one day, Shiro arrived at the temple to find the princess nowhere to be seen. The elderly priestess told him that the princess had received a message from her family and had decided to return to her kingdom to fulfill her duties as a royal. Shiro was heartbroken when he heard this, but he knew that the princess had to do what she felt was right. He wished her well and promised to visit her soon. But as the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, Shiro found himself unable to visit the princess. He missed her dearly and wondered how she was doing. One night, Shiro couldn't take it anymore. He packed a bag with supplies and set off to find the princess. He traveled for days, following the winding paths through the mountains and the valleys. Finally, he came across a tall, sturdy gate with intricate carvings of dragons and phoenixes. An old man sat beside the gate, and when he saw Shiro approaching, he rose to his feet and bowed. "I am the gatekeeper of the Moon Kingdom," he said. "What brings you here?" "I'm looking for the princess," Shiro replied. "The princess?" The gatekeeper's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "Which princess?" "The princess who lives in this kingdom," Shiro said. "She has shaved head and cat-like ears, and she loves to draw." The gatekeeper's eyes widened in surprise. "Ah, yes," he said, "the Snow Princess." He gestured for Shiro to wait a moment and then walked over to a large bell and rang it 3 times. Suddenly, the gate began to move, revealing a path that shimmered with moonlight. Shiro's heart raced as he stepped through the gate and entered the Moon Kingdom. Before him lay a vast expanse of land bathed in silver moonlight. Majestic snow-capped mountains pierced the sky, their peaks adorned with sparkling crystals. A crystal-clear river meandered through the kingdom, reflecting the moon's ethereal glow. Graceful white deer with antlers like polished jade grazed in the meadows. The air was crisp and refreshing, carrying the scent of pine and blooming flowers. The sky was a tapestry of twinkling stars, forming constellations that twinkled with celestial light. In the distance, Shiro could see a majestic temple nestled amidst the mountains. Its roofs were adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to dance in the moonlight. As Shiro approached the temple, he could hear the gentle sound of a koto being played. Intrigued, he followed the melody until he came to a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a young woman with her back towards him. She was playing a koto, and her movements were so graceful and elegant that it seemed like she was dancing with the music. She had shaved head, and wore a white cotton dress that flowed around her like a waterfall of moonlight. Two delicate hands framed her face, which was turned away from Shiro, partially obscuring her features. As the last notes of the koto faded away, the woman turned around, and Shiro's heart skipped a beat. It was the princess. Time seemed to stand still as their eyes met. She had grown more beautiful than Shiro remembered, yet there was still that same gentleness in her eyes that had drawn him to her all those years ago. Her cat-like ears twitched slightly, betraying her feline ancestry. A faint meow echoed in the clearing, and Shiro realized that it was coming from the princess. Shiro couldn't help but smile. In that moment, he knew that he had found the girl from his dreams, the girl who had inspired hundreds of his drawings, the princess of the Moon Kingdom. Their eyes locked, and Shiro felt a warmth spread through his chest. He knew in that moment that their paths had been intertwined by fate, and he couldn't wait to see where their story would lead them next.